If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe for true emotional stories that stay with you long after they're told. Now, let's begin. My name is Riley. And this is the story of how the woman who gave me life, gave me away like I was a couch she didn't need anymore. I grew up in a small, dusty apartment on the east side of Detroit. My mom, Stacy, was a single mother with a short temper and shorter patience. She said she loved me, but love doesn't usually come with slaps, broken glass, and a locked fridge. I remember being hungry most days. She always said we didn't have enough food, but I'd see pizza boxes in the trash after I'd gone to bed. Sometimes, I wondered if she just forgot I existed. When I was 9, something changed. The fridge was completely empty. No snacks, not even ketchup. Mom was pacing, biting her nails, muttering numbers to herself. "How much was it again?" she whispered. $800? No way I'm giving him that. He can wait. He can wait another week. But the landlord didn't wait. He knocked on our door the next morning. I was sitting on the floor trying to finish my homework. He was in his 50s, tall, and always smelled like cigarettes. I hated when he came by. He always looked at me too long. "Stacy," he said. "It's time. You're 2 months behind." She smiled, that fake, syrupy smile she wore whenever she was about to lie. "Please, just 1 more week. I'm expecting a payment. My sister's sending." He raised a hand. "Don't care. I want the money. Or something else." And then, they looked at me. Both of them. And something in my stomach turned cold. That night, she made me wear my best dress. Brushed my hair. Kissed my forehead. "You're gonna stay with Mr. Halpern for a few days," she said. "Just until things settle down here." I asked why I couldn't stay with Aunt June. She snapped. "Because June thinks I'm a bad mother, and you'll fill her head with stories." I didn't understand. When Mr. Halpern came to get me, he handed Mom a thick envelope. She didn't even hug me goodbye. Just waved from the doorway. That was the last time I saw her for 5 years. In this next part, Riley discovers the truth behind the deal and finally finds someone who sees her pain and gives her a new chance at life. Mr. Halpern's house was nothing like ours. It was big, quiet, sterile. No toys. No music. No warmth. Just rules. No noise after 8. No TV unless I say so. Don't touch the doors without asking. For the first few days, he acted normal. Too normal. He gave me cereal. Bought me some clothes. Told me I'd have chores to earn my keep. But by the 3rd night, I could feel it. Something was off. He started standing in the hallway after lights out. I could hear him breathing outside my door. Sometimes he'd open it just a little, and close it again when I pretended to be asleep. I was terrified. But I kept my mouth shut. That's what I'd always done. One day, he brought a guest over, an older woman, maybe in her 60s. She had silver hair, kind eyes, and a clipboard. "This is Mrs. Hammond," he said. She's from the city. She smiled at me. But when Mr. Halpern turned his back, I saw something flicker in her expression. Concern? I barely whispered, "Please don't leave me here." That was all I could manage. She looked at me like she heard me, not with her ears, but with her heart. That night, he was angrier than usual. Threw his drink against the wall when he thought I'd spilled something. "You think I'm stupid?" he yelled. Trying to act innocent in front of the social worker? He grabbed my arm. Hard. That was it. Something inside me broke. Or maybe something finally clicked. I waited until he passed out on the couch. I tiptoed to the kitchen, grabbed my backpack, shoved in a few snacks, and left. No shoes. No coat. Just fear pushing me out the door. I ran. 4 blocks. Through the dark. Until I saw a police car parked outside a gas station. The officer was young. And kind. He asked for my name and age. When I told him everything, well, almost everything, he radioed it in. Within hours, I was in a warm room with hot cocoa, a blanket, and a social worker. Not Mrs. Hammond, but someone who knew her. Apparently, she had seen the signs. And she'd already filed a report. The next few weeks were a blur. Interviews. Paperwork. Counseling. But I didn't go back to Mom. And I never saw Mr. Halpern again. He was arrested for multiple violations involving minors. And Mom? Well, she told the judge I was too much to handle. Said she gave me away to teach me a lesson. She lost all rights that day. And I, Riley Simmons, entered the foster system. But then something unexpected happened. Mrs. Hammond came back. She wasn't just a social worker. She was also a foster parent. She asked if I wanted to come stay with her, no pressure. I said yes. That day, I walked into her little yellow house with the blue shutters. And for the first time in my life, I felt safe. She taught me how to ride a bike, how to bake banana bread. She hugged me, and meant it. Mrs. Hammond wasn't rich. But she gave me more than money ever could. She gave me a name again. A place at the dinner table. A reason to believe I mattered. I still had nightmares. Still flinched when someone raised their voice. But slowly, I healed. And I made myself a promise. Someday, I'll own the kind of home where no kid ever feels like a burden. Someday, I'd come back to where it all began. Ballot box with check. Riley's transformation from scared runaway to successful businesswoman leads her back to the very doorstep she once fled, but now, she holds the keys. 10 years later, I stood outside the same brick building where I was once called a walking virus. Only this time, I wasn't in pajamas and holding a trash bag. I was in a tailored navy suit, holding the deed. It all started with a job offer from a local tech company. After college, full scholarship, thanks to Mrs. Hammond's endless encouragement, I got into coding. And not just got into it, thrived. I built apps, scaled startups, created tools that helped foster teens find housing and scholarships. Eventually, I sold one of my companies for $12.4 million. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Mrs. Hammond, not right away. But I knew where I wanted that first big investment to go. Back to where it all began. The property had been foreclosed. Mom and Jeff lost it years ago. I bought it at auction under a holding company name. Because I didn't want them to know. Not yet. Inside, the house was a ghost of what I remembered. Faded walls. Broken cupboards. That same creaky stair. I stood in the living room where they'd once screamed at me for sneezing. Where I'd been thrown out with nothing but a backpack. Now, I stood taller. And I had a vision. I hired contractors, interior designers, local youth workers. 6 months later, the place transformed into the Haven Project, a halfway home for teens aging out of foster care. Safe beds, study stations, counseling, and a plaque by the door that read, "Dedicated to the kids who were never anyone's priority until now." And then came Christmas. The day it all came full circle. I was hosting a ribbon-cutting event. Local press, volunteers, donors, all gathered in the front yard. A man in a worn coat stepped through the crowd. It was Jeff. Right behind him, my mother. She looked older, smaller, but still held herself like the world owed her something. They approached cautiously. "Riley," she said. I turned. Calm. Collected. The cameras were rolling. I nodded. "Hello, Mother." Her eyes darted around. "We saw the article in the paper. Said someone named her, Simmons donated the property." That's you?" I nodded again. Jeff coughed. "We didn't realize how well you were doing. Maybe we could talk inside?" I gestured toward the porch. They followed. Inside, Mom glanced at the new flooring. The updated kitchen. "All this, because of you?" I didn't answer. She scoffed. "Well, maybe you can finally help your family. Your sister's tuition is due. We're behind on bills." Then she paused and looked at me, a flicker of old manipulation flashing in her eyes. "You wouldn't let your sister suffer, would you? After everything?" I smiled. Slowly. Reached into my pocket. Pulled out my phone. Pressed a button. On the screen, a voice memo began playing, their words, from that day 12 years ago, captured from a video I had backed up on cloud. "Get out of our house. You're disgusting. You'll infect us all. You're not our problem anymore." Her face paled. "What is this?" I locked eyes with her. Evidence. They stood frozen. "You're recording us now?" Jeff asked. I don't need to, I said. You already did all the damage. I'm just the one rebuilding. Riley. You wanted me to give you everything, I said quietly. But the truth is, I already did. I gestured toward the window, where the teens of the Haven Project were gathered around a fire pit, laughing. I gave it to them. Then I looked directly at my mother. We're done. They left in silence. And I never heard from them again. But I kept the house. And every year on Christmas, we host a dinner for kids who have nowhere else to go. We light candles, tell stories, share dreams. And every time someone asks how I built all this, I say, it started with a sneeze and ended with choosing myself. A decade after being discarded, Riley becomes the voice for hundreds. But the final chapter of her story? One message from a mysterious girl, claiming to be her sister. I didn't expect the letter. It came folded in a plain white envelope, slipped through the mailbox of the Haven Project. I opened it over coffee. Just a single page. You don't know me. But I'm your sister. My name is Kayla. They told me you ran away. That you were dangerous. But now I know the truth. Please, can we talk? I froze. I hadn't thought about Kayla in years. The quiet, doe-eyed little girl who used to hide under the staircase whenever our parents yelled. Back then, I tried protecting her, sneaking snacks into her backpack, reading her bedtime stories when Mom forgot. But the night they kicked me out, she didn't even look at me. I thought she'd been taught to hate me, too. Now, she was reaching out. I emailed her from a private account. Asked for a phone call. She agreed. The voice on the other end was nervous but soft. I didn't know, she said. They told me you were sick. That you ran away and didn't care. I figured they'd say that, I said. But then, after they lost the house, things changed. Mom started drinking more. Jeff got worse. I left the second I turned 18. It was bad. Where are you now? Ohio. Working 2 jobs. I've been following you for months. Online. I saw the Haven Project launch. The press coverage. I kept asking myself how someone they said was worthless built that. I felt something ache in my chest. I'd like to see you, she said. If that's okay. I flew her out 2 weeks later. She arrived in a hoodie 3 sizes too big, clutching a worn duffel bag. When I saw her at the terminal, my throat caught. She looked like me. A softer version. Still bruised, but alive. I pulled her into a hug. Welcome home, I whispered. Back at the Haven, I gave her a room upstairs. No expectations. No pressure. Just rest. That first night, she cried herself to sleep. I sat outside her door, listening. Not as the kid they once discarded, but as the adult who had finally come back to save her. In the weeks that followed, Kayla started helping around the center. She was incredible with the teens, especially the quiet ones. She knew exactly what to say, how to listen without fixing, how to sit beside someone's grief without running from it. One evening, she knocked on my office door. "I want to stay," she said. "And I want to help. Maybe full-time. Are you sure?" She nodded. "I couldn't save you when I was little. But I can help now." We had staff meetings. Late-night chats. Shared tears and coffee. It wasn't long before she became my co-director. Together, we expanded the Haven project into 2 more properties across the state, each one serving kids who had been thrown away like we once were. Then came the awards, the donations, and eventually, the call from Netflix. They wanted to do a docuseries about foster care, about kids who made it through. They asked if I'd tell my story. I hesitated at first, but Kayla said something I'll never forget. "You've already survived it. Now let the world learn from it." The filming began. I stood in front of the same door I'd once been thrown from. Only this time, I wasn't crying. I was smiling. Because I wasn't their child anymore. I was my own story. Epilogue, 2 Christmases later. It was snowing outside. The fire crackled in the Haven's common room. Kids were exchanging gifts. Laughing. Kayla handed me a wrapped box with a grin. Inside? A photo. Me, her, and 28 residents of the Haven Project, all holding signs that read, "We made it. Because of you." I blinked hard. "We made it," I whispered. "All of us." And for the first time in my life, I didn't just feel healed. I felt home. I got kicked out for sneezing and built an empire in silence.